Alrighty, gonna get started here. But first, I'm gonna see if I can't get Discord. I'm trying to figure out how to get Wow. Don't know which one it's actually doing there. Let's see. What is this? Streamlabs chatbot Discord. Okay. Sure. But that's how I did it. Okay. Oh my goodness. Integrations. Integrations. Discord. Creative things. Following permissions. Alright. Hey, Amanda, what's up? Okay. It shows that it's integrated, but now I feel like maybe my Streamlabs that I use is not connected to Streamlabs. Oh, thank you, sir. You look handsome as well. Trying to figure out how in the world do I get a Discord bot? Do I want a Discord bot? Something here. I'm trying to get I don't know, how do I get that client ID Discord? Well, I don't want to do that. I should try and do that real quick. So, yeah, we'll get started here in a second. I'm trying to get a few things set up for the stream, which I probably should have done before stream, but hey, you know, that's how it is. Let's go to this. Not what I wanted. It's resources. I don't know what that means. I doubt that. Okay. Apparently I have to do this through. Let's try putting down the right information in. So someone yesterday mentioned setting it up so that they can see keyboard keystrokes while I'm streaming, and I really want to do that, but I have these issues where I type in passwords sometimes, and I don't want that to show up. So if you have any ideas, yeah, like when I'm working in Revit to see what keystrokes I'm using, like for keyboard shortcuts and things like that. Do I do it? I don't think I wanted to do that. No. Okay. I think I have everything set up now. Okay. We're just gonna go with that. What do you say we get to work? But anyway, yeah, I'd like to actually see, I'd like for people to see keystrokes and things like that, but, so I've been asked to modify the floors and foundation walls to match the floor plan, add a linen cabinet between the tub and water closet, and add a glass door from bed chamber to screen porch 14 foot wide. But here's the thing, I hate being asked to modify things that have been done incorrectly to begin with. Because then I'm like, well, do I redo it correctly? Or do I redo it incorrectly? You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, you know, if they come back and say, well, you did it wrong, I'd be like, I know I did it wrong, it was done wrong to begin with. That's incorrect too. See, it's hard to know. See now, and is this all supposed to be open down here? There's like a kitchen and stuff here. Part of me just wants to turn this here and go straight out there and let this be on columns. This one's kind of tough.
You know that sound. That's the sound of Walmart's new grocery delivery. The sound of more time being added to your day.
Someone else has been watching
cutting that
30
mountain
by
of
40
laundry down to size.
design workshop.
Or making a home-cooked dinner without the microwave. That's the sound of your entire grocery list showing up at your door. Introducing Walmart Grocery Delivery. Shop online for the same low prices in store delivered fresh to your door. There are more ways to Walmart. $30 minimum, fee applies.
There's your coworker. Her phone unlocks with her face. Your phone doesn't. Cool. You like your coworker, but you'd like her better if you made more money than she does. With E-Trade, it's easy to build a portfolio that suits your needs. And then maybe you can get a phone that unlocks with your face. Cool. Don't get mad at your coworker. Get E-Trade. All investments subject to risk. Security products offered by E-Trade Securities LLC.
This is New York firefighter Raphael Boria, introducing Firehouse Subs' new $4.99 choice subs. Choose from a medium smoked turkey,
Just
honey
realized that
ham.
this is probably still pretty loud.
A part of every sub you buy comes
There we
with
go.
life-saving equipment for first responders. Medium
Let's
$4.99
load
choice subs.
the
Firehouse
door.
Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Limited time only, plus tax, no substitutions. Participating locations. Firehouse Subs will donate a minimum of $1 million in 2018 to Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation by donating 0.13% of every purchase.
Hey, what did the single hung window say to the casement window? Why do we not have? Why do we see? This is retarded. Why do we have a folder for parametric doors? How come all of our doors are not parametric? How long do you think it's going to take me to find? The now wall. Lighting. Arch doors, door trim, double door glass, hollow metal new doors, maybe? Non-parametric. Openings, overhead door panel. Parametric pocket, rolling screen, single sliding. What is this? I don't know why that ceiling would go out that far. Well, thank you. I didn't design it, but it's actually a very modest front. But it does have quite a spectacular backside, doesn't it? The issue is getting it to actually work on this hill. And unfortunately, yesterday was my first time working on this project, so I'm not familiar with everything that went on with this project before I started working on it. So there's some things that I'm just like, guys, there's no way for me to know what's supposed to be done here. Yes, you may ask one question, and one question only. Oh, piece of crap. Why is this not centered? Yep. Yeah, how it steps down like this. I mean, is there an easy way to do anything, really? So this person decided to make an in-place model, which is not how I'd recommend do it. I would go in and actually create the walls and step them down. But to each their own, as I would not like. And then they did this wall by cutting the profile like that. We're gonna see if they did that on the other side too, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like that's the only place where they did that. Yeah, they got lazy and did dropped a retaining wall right there. That's going to be a very thick retaining wall right there. I see potential for failure for that, because look how much that's holding up house and earth. But yeah, I would either do a wall and edit profile. I mean, like, I don't understand why this whole thing was modeled in place. All this is wall. This is retaining wall. And if you do a retaining wall, okay, you can put rebar in it if it's a structural wall. So I don't understand why. In fact, I think if you just do a normal wall, nope, you have to do it as a structural wall. So I don't know why they modeled that as an in-place model. It's a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. See, they made that an in-place model too. That makes no sense whatsoever. It's like I almost don't even want to do this just because of how poorly it's done. I'll go right there. What's the thickness of this? 1 foot. Do those end up lining up? It's kind of hard to tell. That was basement floor and basement floor and lower level. Okay, it worked that time. I think we're just gonna do this. Where does this go to? Lower level? I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this one. Oops. Sometimes, like that instance right there, Revit is absolutely brilliant. Other times it's a piece of crap. See, why not do this? I don't understand why you had to make that two separate pieces. Boom. Yeah, there's always a logic we don't know. And I don't know about this topo either. Like maybe this is supposed to be changed to this right here. And I don't know what any of this was done for to begin with, so hey, look at that. That's pretty awesome. Alright, I'm gonna undo that. So my business partner wanted to use just like steel columns to hold this up, but I feel like it works a lot better with the design when it comes out like that. I also think by, what do you mean by? Are these columns not in the same spot? These columns are not in the same spot. Why are these columns not in the same spot? You're waiting for my change? Okay, those are done downloading. I'm downloading all my Twitch broadcasts that never got posted to YouTube, so I can put them on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure which change you're talking about there. So I'm not sure why these columns ended up in a different location. Good sketching, yes. Something has happened. He didn't like my rounded okay, so I think someone modified this.
You know that sound. That's the sound of Walmart's new grocery delivery. The sound of more time being added to your
I
day.
doubt it. Everyone gets problems by adjusting railings.
Down to size, or making a home-cooked dinner without the microwave. That's the sound of your entire grocery list showing up at your door. Introducing Walmart Grocery Delivery.
It could be that.
Shop online for the same low prices in store, delivered fresh to your door. There are more ways to
Napa's a fan of you. We're showing the last Napa problem. Just sign up on to get purchase. But don't wait to get rewarded.
Let's see.
Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa know-how.
Offer available July 16th through July 22nd.
Hey Spotifyers, click or tap the banner to listen to New Music Friday. The best songs coming out today from your favorite artists to the next big thing, all in one playlist and updated every Friday. Brought to you by our friends at L Certified by Lexus, an exclusive collection of pre-owned Lexus vehicles that stand apart.
Hey, this is Diplo and you're listening to my new track Wish with Trippie Redd off my new EP California. Click the banner to hear the full song right here on Spotify.
Make sure you got rid of all that there. Let's do it. I don't understand why. An OP, QRS, TUV, WXYZ. So here's the problem I'm having right now. There are several nanowall styles. Let's see, residential exterior. And you can do inward stacking, outward stacking, some inward, some outward stacking in plane. You can do single track, you can do multi-track. So the problem is, I don't know which one. It says it wants a nanowall, but I don't know which one. Which one am I supposed to put here? Panel door. It's in single panel, residential exterior, door with optional storm door, sliding. Sure, it's not a screen door. Rolling doors. Pocket. It's not under parametric. It's not under panel. Overhead garage doors. Openings. Non-parametric. New doors. Hollow metal. Glass. Oh, there it is, nanowall. Boom. What is the width of this sucker? Width, foot 2 foot. So, what did the single hung door say to the? Try that again. What did the single hung window say to the casement window? How do you define? Yeah, they probably are separate. I mean, I would hope you're not putting fixed windows and awning windows in the same family. But are you talking about like this right here, where we have it defined here? This is a parameter that's used. Might not even be a parameter, it might be something that's in the model. Yeah, it's actually just parameter that's added in the model, which is a little annoying. How do you show the difference? Well, I mean, aside from the detail, how do you show the difference between a casement? Oh, you talking about it doesn't? You don't show the swing for a casement window? We don't show that in plan now. We do show it in elevation. See if I can find one real quick. Okay, apparently they're not showing it. Nope, it's fixed. It is also fixed. There we go. So that's a casement window. So there's some more casement windows that oh. There you go. Casement windows. So no, we don't show the swing in plan, we show it in elevation. Where are we using papyrus? Where was it? It was doors, glass. Let's put a linen cabinet in here. Alright. The library, casework, cabinets and mirrors, home cabinets. No. Oven, refrigerator, all cabinets. How is it that we don't have like an actual linen closet? Linen cabinets. Mantles, mirrors, niches, tall cabinets. All we have is let's go with that one. Foot, 4.5. Instance parameter. It looks a little weird. It looks forced. What if we rotated it 90 degrees and did this? Eh.
You know that
So,
sound. That's the sound of Walmart's new
I'm gonna keep asking this.
sound of more time being added to your day.
What did the single hung window say to the casement window?
Or making a home-cooked dinner without the microwave. That's the sound of your entire grocery list showing up at your door. Introducing Walmart Grocery Delivery. Shop online for the same low prices in store delivered fresh to your door. There are more ways to Walmart. $30 minimum, fee applies.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to announce that KFC's new Crispy Colonel Sandwich is now available on a $5 fill-up. Who wants to spend $7 on a meal at a burger place? You can spend $5 on a new KFC Crispy Colonel Sandwich, wedges, a cookie, and a drink at KFC. I mean, we specialize in chicken. You need another reason? I didn't think so. Try the new Crispy Colonel Sandwich and a $5 fill-up at KFC today. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Limited time offer at participating KFCs. Tax extra.
Working in a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying time for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
It's really deep for switches. Man. Like, should go ahead and correct this also. Nope. Come on. When the single hung window, save the casement window. Alright. Modify the floors and foundation walls to match the floor plan. Add a linen cabinet between the tub and walking or the water closet. Add nanoglass door for bed chambers. Screen porch 14 foot wide. We did all those things. You might have been wanting to leave that, although I mean, there was a lot more revised than that. I don't understand why this column and this column are different. I don't think I did that. Let's look at this and see. Ooh. So it's 1'6". Which means from here to there, 9 inches. Okay. So it should be. Jeez. Let's so I'm not really sure if I do 16 feet here. Here, let's do this the smart way here. So I should be able to go from here to here. Okay. And then we're gonna copy this 8 feet. Mirror that, so there's 16 right there. The question is, what is the 16-foot measurement here? It should be the width of the floor, which is what I have it as right now. So, when I come back here, no floor there. Okay, here we go. But look, it lines up in that column. Okay. Which means this is supposed to be like way inboard. So if I bring all this in to match that. I need to bring all that in too. Oh, I'm glad you feel good today. Why could you not move? What is this? Bringing that in. What is that? Okay. My boss is begging the builder to send me builder company for education. Who is your boss begging? They want to. He knows a builder and he wants to send you to the builder so that you can learn how to build buildings. I mean, it's a good idea. You've got Google to ask. Ask Google. Oh no, yeah, see that's a problem. But don't be so quick to think that builders know what drawings should look like. Or that they know how buildings are built. Builder doesn't like your drawing because it's stupid. I've had those conversations with builders before. Sometimes you can learn a lot from a builder. Other times, the builder just isn't used to seeing things done a way that they're not used to seeing it. I love popcorn, but I hate the mornings after eating popcorn. That's fair. I would recommend. Oh, look, it's Prime Day. Okay, apparently only businesses order electronics. Building Construction Illustrated by Frank Ching. I would highly recommend this book. This will help. Anything by Frank Ching. Oh, you have that book. Well, I mean, what do you need a builder for? Just make your drawings look like Ching's. What? Wall. What is... Right, everyone remember this number. 1499133. Okay, that's a different issue. And if a builder ever tells you that they understand the code, they're lying. No one really understands the code. The people who go inspect the buildings don't really understand the code. What was that number? I got it right there. So for some reason, when I move this wall, okay, well, let's do this then. Well, I wonder if that jacked up my other wall there too. There we go.
You know that sound. That's the sound of Walmart's new grocery delivery. The sound of more time being added to your day. That's the sound of you cutting that mound of laundry into size, or making a home-cooked dinner without the
Okay, so what I want to do real quick is I want to come over here and I want to check how this floor was modeled. So I want this to be consistent.
Shop online for the same low prices in store delivered fresh to your door. There are more ways to Walmart. $30 minimum, fee applies.
Okay, it looks like it was modeled the same way that I did it. The only difference is that this one, this isn't offset.
Tormented the people of this town. They tried to fill it, but it always returned.
And that's the thing, is I just need to bring the floor.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
When you say it's a normal issue in every architecture project to have revisions because of missed code violations, I would actually say that missed code violations don't get revised more often than not, and more often than not, it gets built in violation of code because the inspectors usually don't catch it, no, unless it's a major thing. If it's a major thing, then yeah, no, most likely the revisions are due to changing materials or changing something that costs money, as opposed to revisions due to code violations. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen as often as the owner saying, "Oh, I want to change this." So I would say that that's probably more common than something being revised due to code violation. Nope. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this as well. There we go. Let's I kind of like it with that little lip there, but I don't know. It depends on the scope of the project and the difficulty of the client. I mean, typical revisions are single digits. Let's see. When I was doing commercial work, I would say that we probably had a dozen revisions or so, typically. I've seen projects that are up in the 30s and 40s. I very rarely have seen hundreds of revisions on projects. It depends on how the project is being managed and tracked, to be honest, and how the project architect wants to track revisions for fees and liability issues. On residential projects, it's pretty far down there. Less than 10 probably. On complex commercial projects, actually I think let's see, do I have TCU Dining Hall. I have TCU and I have ORU. Let me open that up and see. Now it's going to open it in this one. Can I cancel that? Cancel. Cancel. Nope, it's going to open it. Done. It's already done. Let's look at revisions for this. I don't know how far along this was. So this had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 revisions. And it was a student hall. But I don't know how far along that. I don't know if this was a final model that I ended up getting or not. It is a fairly complete model. That sheet only has 2 revisions on it. Schedules. Master index of drawings. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one only had 4 revisions on it. I feel like that is done. Let's make sure that the roof got updated here. I'm gonna say from the way the ceiling's poking out that the roof automatically updated there. What is this? I don't understand. I feel like maybe this isn't quite. I'm not really sure I understand what exactly I am measuring off of here for this. But it seems to be right, even if it's slightly different here. See how this distance here is a little bit different from this different distance? I'm not sure what's different there. What is it 2 feet from, though? I think... Huh. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I have never used an A360 with an iPad before. I know people who have. But I have not. Oh, it's an interesting question, though. I have used A360, and I'm not sure why the experience should be any different with an iPad than with a desktop with web interface. It should be pretty much the same. So, Microsoft Surface. The new Surface Goes, you should be able to. Yeah, Surface Go. $400. 10-inch touchscreen Surface. Now, you're not going to be able to use Revit on this, right? This is a Surface Go. It is basically the Microsoft version of a Chromebook. Like, it doesn't even say that it uses Windows. It uses Windows OS. Yeah, it's new. It came out, I think, last month before, something like that. I mean, you're not going to be able to run Revit on this. It's not a Surface like a Surface Pro. It doesn't use a Core i5 or anything like that. But you should be able to load up a PDF and mark on top of it using, like, Drawboard. I mean, anytime that I go to my so I use this Drawboard application all the time, right? That's what I'm using to, let's see. Oh, come on. So, use stylus, drawing. It's being a little slow because of reasons, but I mean, you can see, you can just draw right on top of it. And I'd be willing to bet, I'm actually not willing to bet that. Let me look and see. Microsoft Surface Go Autodesk Sketchbook. You don't need Adobe PDF. That piece of crap software needs to go away. I'd almost be willing to bet that you can use Autodesk Sketchbook. Oh, this is so ridiculous. Why do they have... free for everyone, unless you're a business. I mean, I can use it on my phone, so I would imagine the Sketchbook you can use on that as well. Yeah, but I'm actually thinking about getting one of these for my wife. She needs a new laptop, and Well, she doesn't need one. I'm not gonna get into that. Okay, that's done downloading. I just want to look and see what's the date on this. 27th. Okay, so I need to do the 28th. 29th. And then we'll get into July. Yeah, I hope it helps. I'm actually curious. Microsoft Prime, are you kidding me? Well, apparently they're on pre-order. You can't actually get them. So it looks like if you get one loaded, it's $549. But then you can get a refurbished Pro 4 for $489. You can see why the specs are a little bit less. I'm almost wondering if they're rebranding the lower end Surfaces to the Surface Go. Although it's only a 10-inch Surface. I think the Surface Pro has a larger surface. I think it's like 13-inch or something like that. Why are they calling them a Surface laptop? It's called a Surface Book. Unless it's a Surface, and they're calling it a laptop because they put a laptop keyboard on it. Okay. I don't know. I think I'm done with this. There's so much wrong in this, and I just don't even want to deal with it. Okay. Looks like it's used by artists. Looks like it's mostly for artwork, which means that it's capable of handling graphics. Photoshop, SAI, Illustrator. I don't know what CDR is.
This is New York firefighter Raphael Poirier, introducing Firehouse Subs' new $4.99 choice subs. Choose from a medium smoked turkey, honey ham, or roast beef.
Did I miss?
Remember, a part of every sub you buy helps provide life-saving equipment.
Drivers support Windows 7 or later Mac, so you can put Mac OS or Windows 7 on it. Can't put Windows 10 on there.
Firehouse Subs will donate a minimum of $1 million in 2018 to Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation by donating 0.12% of every purchase.
State Farm, Robert here.
Robert, somebody burned down my she
Alright.
She shed, Cheryl.
Oh, really, Victor? Because my she shed's burning up in the backyard.
The she shed was struck by lightning, Cheryl.
Robert, does State Farm cover my she shed?
What's a she shed?
She turned our shed into her hideaway, Robert.
Oh yeah, that's covered.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
Can we stop saying she shed now?
Go right. State Farm. Talk to an agent today.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away now. When posting your job, it lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualifications. Go ahead and check it off by posting your website. Hire is better than your short list.
Yeah, I don't have Tilt Brush, but I do have Pixels or Blocks, Google Blocks, which is fun. I was supposed to have Tilt Brush, but Microsoft never sent me the receipt, which had my registration and $100 Steam gift certificate when I bought my Vive, so I never got any of that. And it really pissed me off. I had too much stuff going on. I gave up on asking people to do their job when they obviously refuse to do it. Close this project out. do I have? Nice, there it is. Close hidden. Alright. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to spend some time looking at some projects that my business owner wanted me to look at. So that I'm familiar with some plans that we have that we can sell. But unfortunately all we have are Revit models, so I get to open them up in Revit instead of opening the PDFs. What was that? 2.25 condition modification deck tool working tweaking. While that's going, and I almost feel like that curve is just so massive. And the massing of it just stands way out. Okay. Scale is indicated. Scale not indicated. These are under, this is a 3-bed, 2-bath. That looks like a little lake house. That's a pretty cool little home. Skinny lot. You were talking like you want us to see what you were showing. Oh, did I not? Yeah, that happens a lot. Sometimes I go away and I don't actually bring it back. Yeah. Sorry about that. Thanks for letting me know. Sometimes you have to tell me those things. And I think it's actually on the channel there. If I go to my channel, down in this thing down here, mute that. I'll pause that. Yeah, down here, FAQ, black screen. He probably didn't remember to switch back to a live view, and that is why it seems like he's working on the "you can't see this" screen. It looks like I need to actually edit my junk here. Yeah, better. Yeah, exactly. So I do that because I do have clients that don't, I mean, I have email addresses and phone numbers and things like that I can't dox my clients. That would just be irresponsible of me. So, yeah, this is a pretty cool little house. I can see where this would maybe on a narrow lot. The flow isn't too bad either. You come in, foyer here, front-facing garage. You could actually turn it and make it like a longhouse if you wanted to. You got a little hallway, no laundry there. That's fine. Then you've got guest bedroom 1 and 2, and then owners on the other side there. So this was, I mean, yeah, these were all, when you say built from scratch, I mean, there's a lot of concepts that are reused, like your Jack and Jill bathroom here, that's probably reused. There's a powder bath. Probably the living, dining, kitchen, that's all kind of reused, but yes, most of it is modeled from scratch. And all I'm doing right now is I'm reviewing projects that we have that are kind of like book plans. 5, 3-bed. I'm looking for the pattern here. Is that 4-bed, 3-bath? So looks like 50 series is 3 beds, 2 baths. And 60 series is 3 beds, 3 baths. I'm guessing this is either 5 and 3 or 4 and 4. Ooh. So I wonder why. I mean, our library. No, these are book plans that we make. We design these for other people, and then if the project goes south and we don't end up building it, or the client decides they don't want to pay us for some reason, which happens, then we resell the plan as a book plan. There are some projects that we just don't resell, like I probably won't resell this project. Right? This is a one-off. And a lot of the one-offs we don't resell. But there are many that we do. Barn Dominium, so I wonder why I had it up to here, and then the 80 series went on to be something completely different. I was expecting a pattern, and the pattern deviated. So here's the thing. I could share it, Amanda. But here's the thing. What do you really get out of that? See, my stream is all about learning. It's all about learning something. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. Just for you. Okay? Let's open up that family. Let's take a look at it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to spend the time making one that works the way that you want it to. Because it would be a good one to get into the parametrics. I'm guessing that there's some hesitancy on your side because maybe family parametrics and things like that, but this one would be a good one to look into. So it's this guy right here, okay, and there's a few different components going on here. Okay, so we've got this one. You can take this and you can drag it and you can shorten it, right, and it reports the length up here. You can also give it offsets and things like that. You can also turn the upper rod off. You can turn the shelf on or off. Okay. You can turn the lower rod on and off. And then there's one here that says shelf label on off. And what that is in the floor plan, you can make this say whatever you want. Okay, so shelving. And then you can turn shelf label on and off. Alright, now that's also a generic annotation, so I can come in here to annotations and I can say generic annotations, turn those off, and it'll turn that off as well altogether, but I can control it individually if I want to. Okay, so, and the way that this works is if I want to create a new one, okay, I can create it on a face, so I can make it attached to this floor, I can make it attached to the main floor, or I can just say that I want to put it on the slab here. Okay, and then I draw it, however long I draw it, that's where it shows up. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to take a look at this. Okay, this is what it looks like in 3D. Now this was done I believe, using the, let me make sure here real quick. If you go to File, New, Family, so here's what I'm trying to figure out. If we just do generic model, we're not going to get this option when you make a new one. Sorry, I'm trying to find a view here. To place it on a face, or to place it on a work plane. And I'm trying to remember what option it is that allows us to do that here. Because there's usually a, and it might just be that because it's casework. Okay, so there's a couple things that are in this that I'm going to teach you not to do, and a couple things that I'm going to teach you to do. The first thing, obviously, is you need to be familiar with modeling geometry, right? These are all extrusions. Extrusion, extrusion, extrusion. Okay, here at the top. Okay, we also have a reference line down here, okay, which basically is what all of this stuff is based on, I think. So if I drag this out, you can see things go with it, okay? Which means that this is probably File, New, Family, Generic Model, Line Based. Right? So I'm going to do Generic Model, Line Based. And what that's going to do is it's going to set us up a reference line already. And that reference line is what's going to determine that we can draw a line in the project to create our family. Okay? So this is what we're given right now. Let me close a few things.
You should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit.
We're not confused quite so much. Okay, so mine is green, theirs is blue, so that's how we'll tell the difference here. I'm going to close a few more of these views.
Your passion, your hours,
okay, there we go.
It's all huge. Your partnerships even bigger. With small business technology advisors, you get the tech, advice, and one-on-one partnership to help.
So there's a few things you want to keep in mind. Okay, if I click this, we can see that it is the left reference, and it's given a name left. Okay, if I select this one, it's the right one. Right, left. Oh, one of these is left. Yep, left right there. Okay. The other thing that we want to note is that this says defines origin. Okay, if we select this one, it also says defines origin. So when I'm drawing a line, that's how I know what the origin of this family is. It's where I begin my click, and then when I end my click, it's going to be over here. Right? This parameter right here is something that we cannot control. Okay, we cannot edit this parameter. We can't change the label on that dimension. Right? And that's because this is a line-based parameter. So that's one of the things that's hard-coded in. So if we want to be able to get this stuff in here, it's an extrusion. Right? So we're going to want to be able to control a few things. We want to be able to control how far off the wall these rods are, and how far off the wall the shelf is. Okay, and we want to be able to give it a depth. And if we look in here, we can see that there is a parameter that gives us a depth. Okay, and if we change this to like 18 inches deep, it goes to 1'6". Okay, we got 15 inches. It changes the width of that. Okay, and what this is controlling, if I hit OK here, you can see it moved this reference plane out. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's worry about the shelf for now. Right, so let's make a reference plane. We're going to call this front face of shelf. And I'm going to dimension that. And I'm going to give it a new parameter. I'm going to select it and I'm going to come up here to label. And I'm going to say create parameter. Now if you hit create parameter, it's going to be based on whatever you have selected. So if you have a dimension selected, it's going to make it a length parameter. You can't change that, and it's going to be under dimensions. That's fine. Let's call this depth, and we're going to make it a type parameter so you can have different types for different depths. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and make this 15 inches. Right. It doesn't need to be a strong reference. We can actually tell it. We don't even need it to be a reference at all. Okay, we can dimension to the geometry if we need to. But if you need to be this, if you need this reference plane to be something that you can tab to while you're dimensioning, then you would make this like a strong reference or a weak reference. Okay. I'm not going to get into all that stuff right now, but just know that. So if I want to create my extrusion, I have two options now. I can come in and create extrusion in this view, right? And I would do this, and I would lock all those, right? But we can see that it's now based on the floor, which isn't a horrible thing. We can set this up to do this. But this one here, if I go in and look at this, well, it's also based on the floor. I was expecting it to be based on the end plane, like these guys right here. If I go at extrusion here, you can see that they are based on the vertical work plane, not the horizontal work plane for extrusion. Okay, so if I wanted to set this up to be a height, okay, no matter how I want to do this, whether from the floor work plane or from the vertical work plane, I would need to set up these heights. Okay, and it's a lot easier to constrain things when you set up your reference planes. And I like to think of the reference planes as the bones of your family, like the bones in your body. The reference planes are the structure that gives your family definition. The parameters I like to think of as the muscle, and the model components I think of as the skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, we're going to call this top of shelf, right? And there's a couple things that I can do with this extrusion that we made. I can either set the work plane to top of shelf. Now that I've named it, I can set it as a work plane, right? And when I do that, you see it jumps up to there, right? I can do that, or I can simply constrain it to that, right? The difference between the two is if I manually constrain this, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to handle the depth using the parameters that are here. I would need to manually, the easiest way to do this would be to come in here and make this you know, I'd either lock it or give it a parameter to make the shelf depth. You can name this if you want to, bottom of shelf. Okay. And then what happens, the reason I locked it is because as this moves, the other reference plane moves with it. Okay, if I don't lock this, then we have an issue where the shelf, the bottom of the shelf, stays at that height. Okay, that's why I locked it. Now the other option is I can set this, let's do edit work plane, top of shelf. Okay, and then we can use the parameters of the shelf itself. Oh, we're going to say starts at 0 and ends at negative 0.75 inches. Remove constraints. And now you can see that it's constrained to that work plane, right? And then the depth is being maintained using this right here. Now you can see the problem is that if I wanted to control the depth using a parameter, it would be negative here because I didn't set the work plane up right. Okay, which is why it's almost always easier to do it this way. Right? So I'm actually going to call this shelf depth. And we're going to make this 0.75 inches for now. And I'm just going to constrain this right here. Now, if I make this 1.5 inches, which would be in my parameter box here, I can control the depth that way. Okay. So let's see, I was dumb. I was using reference line, not reference plane. Yeah, so reference line is a little bit different, and I'll show you what that does here in just a minute. It wasn't that you were dumb, it's that you're not using reference line in the right way. Let's go ahead and give this a parameter. We're going to call this shelf height. So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying so extrusion is fixed. Is fixed to what? Oh, see my my shelf depth. I need to lock that parameter so that it moves with that. Even if you make it a parameter, you have to lock it. Otherwise, it becomes an instance parameter and it moves around. Oh, do you mean locked? So extrusion is locked? Well, you want it set up so that when you move it in a family that's parametric, you want to be able to move the reference planes, right, freely, and have the geometry change. Right, so this is actually controlled by my reference line that I draw. The left one, I don't think we don't want to be able to move that one. It's pinned. Okay, but yes, you want to be able. The extrusion should be made so that, and see, it's way up above everything, so I can't even see it in the floor plan here. But you want it to be made so that you can. I'm gonna be able to see it in the ceiling plan here. Nope. By the way, when you're in a family, you can go to some of that popcorn from last night. You can go in here and change the view range. So I can make this to where I can see the cut plane is at 6'6" now. Be careful when you do this, because when you load this back into the project, if it's a family type that doesn't use cut planes, the view settings for the family will be retained by what you have the view set as. So you could technically make it so that you can see the shelf no matter what the height of it is, if you use the right family type. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and change this to casework and hit OK. Alright, so we now have this shelf that flexes pretty well. Flexes. Okay. And I don't know what that's supposed to be, but we'll use it here in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's just load into project. Let's just see what happens here. Make sure it's family 1. So here we go. Looks like we're in business. And I can place it diagonally on a plane here. And then let's just go in and see if I edit type. Okay, we can do shelf height. We can do like 2 feet, and that should affect all of them. When we apply, there we go. Depth, let's make it like a 20-foot deep shelf. Yep, there we go. That works. Let's make it like a 1 foot deep shelf as well. So all of those work. So we're doing something right so far. Let's go back to our family here, and we'll go ahead and add both of those rods. Okay, so I'm going to add work planes, reference planes, for us to put parameters on. Oh. And I'm going to be truthful here, I don't really even know what they set those at, so let's take a look and see. Front here, maybe left. Looks like they dropped it 6 inches from the top and then 3 feet from that. So 6 inches and 3 feet. We could look and see typical closet rod heights. What I'm looking for is if you've got a 6-foot shelf, 4-foot closet rod. But what I'm looking for is if you've got 2 rods in there. Like this. 3 feet, 3 feet. So they recommend 3 feet there. Okay. So now I've got 3 feet. Now the thing is, right, that's not 3 feet there, so you're not going to be able to hang a whole lot from that bottom one based on this right here. So there's some logic that we can put into this family to make it work, but we're going to assume that the people using it know what they're doing, and we're just going to let them say do whatever they want. And I'm actually going to make this I want to make this a little bit more customizable. I'm going to give this, I'm going to say lower rod height, and I'm going to give upper rod height. I'm actually going to answer the phone here for a second. Good morning, Delineations. Spam. So this is where you need to do a little bit of family planning, right? Do I want to be able to control the height of this rod, or do I just want it to be tied to the shelf there? I think I actually want the upper rod to be tied to the shelf. So we're just going to make this 6 inches from the top here. You can do whatever you want. And we're going to lock that. And let's just make sure that this works. It does. The Lunications. Okay, so I've got both of those work planes now, and I need to make an extrusion around both of those. So let's go look at, we're going to look at the left elevation, because I also need to know where those rods are off the wall. One of these is an origin, so this is the front. See, it says front face of shelf. That's why you label them, so you know what you're looking at. This is going to be center of rod. Right. And so this is basically the wall here. So we're going to call it, this is not the center, front, back. This is back. Face of wall. and it's going to be, let's do back, and this is going to be, we'll do front here. I am going to label this as top. Okay, and I don't know, what did they do for theirs?
Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
10 inches. See how they didn't name anything? It's important to name them, or at least set them up if you're going to want to be able to flip them or replace other families with them. Revit looks for those reference plane names or reference types so that it knows where to try to align things. So if you put a family with a center left-right work plane in, and then you swap it out with another family with a center left-right work plane, it knows to try to align those in those places, so keep that in mind. So 10 inches it says. It's also not locked, which means that when I change the depth of this, see, that doesn't move with it, so this family is not working properly. So let's look and see. Inches. I'm going to say it's probably supposed to be about 10 inches off. Probably about right. So we'll say 10 inches, and we will lock that so that it stays with the depth of the wall. Right, and then what we're going to do is I want to do a little bit of demonstration here. So we have this guy right here, right? And I want to set my work plane so that it's based on where we start drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little keyboard shortcut for set work plane, which is basically this guy right here, set work plane. I'm going to pick a plane, and I'm going to use this guy right here. Pretty sure that's it. Yep, that's the starting plane. Now it's not labeled as starting plane, so I know that because I know where my geometry is in relationship to the reference plane. But I'm coming back to the comment about using reference line versus reference plane. Reference lines are great because it gives you 6 different work planes. So you got 1, 2 work planes, 3, 4 work planes. So you have a horizontal and a vertical, and then you have a beginning point work plane and an ending point work plane. And these are really nice because it allows you to align things with the orientation of the reference line. I use this when I have swing angles on my doors. I use reference lines to determine what the angle of that plane is. So instead of having to rotate geometry, I put the geometry on a work plane for a reference line, and then I rotate the reference line. It works great. So I'm going to pick this plane as my beginning, and I'm just going to show it so that we can see that work plane there. And then I could actually, it can't work because I can't see the reference planes, but let's go ahead and create extrusion. I could use a sweep for this if I wanted to change out the profiles for the rod, but I don't need to be that complicated here. Now, in Family Editor, if I snap to this, there's a really good chance that it's going to try to constrain to where I snapped to. So I'm going to type in 1/2 foot, and then I'm going to go back and type in 1/2 inch. That's probably a really big rod, but that's okay. Now I'm going to finish that. Okay, so now I've got that rod right there. And if I move this, well, I shouldn't have to move that because that's the beginning one. But if this moves, all of this should follow with it. Okay, now if I move this, right, see the extrusion for the rod moves with it, and the extrusion for the rod moves when I do this as well. I'm going to escape both of those. And the reason is because I started with a highlighted intersection of those reference planes. I'm just going to use a line and lock to align to this endpoint here, and then this guy right here. I'm going to lock that, and then I'm going to copy this down. All of a sudden, the phone has just decided it wants to go nuts. Good morning, delineations. I'm sorry, say that again? Oh, hey, Andrew, how you doing? I'm doing good. No, it should be through the same, through the Texas. Yeah. Oh, no, well, they might. Hold on a second. Let me see if maybe they changed that. Hold on a second. Hold on a second for me, Andrea. Okie dokie. Yeah, you do have to be careful when you set up the parameter lines, but you can't. Don't be careful like, oh, I don't want to screw this up. I mean, that's the only way you can learn is by messing things up. So I do want to show real quick. If I copy this down to that and I snap it, okay, it will also stick with that. Okay. So now I have two separate ones. Now sometimes if I copy that, let's just do that right there. Okay. It wants to attach to something. And if you get to that point where you're like, why is it doing this? Okay. There's one little trick that you can do that will always tell you what's going on. And it's this guy right here. Under dimensions, automatic sketch dimensions. I'm going to hit OK. Nothing shows up now, but when I go to edit extrusion, you can see that there's some dimensions there. Right? And if I turn off automatic sketch dimensions, they go away. Turn them back on. Okay. And this is a result of Revit being insistent upon having everything attached to something. Okay, now I can go in and I can delete these, right? Or I can try to delete them, or I can reassign them, right? Or I can actually go in and edit them. So if I want this to be 0, 0 on that, and if I want this to constrain to something specific, I can use those automatic sketch dimensions to do that. And you can see I actually did it to the wrong one there, so I'm actually going to bring this over here. And I'm going to zero that out again. And there we go. Okay, and now we have that constraining correctly to that dimension. And I want to go ahead and I want to test to make sure that length works as well for that one, because I didn't align and lock it. So we're going to hit apply. See, it didn't align to the end of that reference line, so we want to go ahead and align and lock that as well. Okay. Dunk. Dunk. So now we have lower rod center, upper rod center. I don't know why I did lower rod center. Okay. Now, let's load this in and take a look at it. Load in the project. Let's overwrite. Okay. It looks like we got some good stuff going on here. I'm going to create a new one. Create a new one. We're gonna say put it on slab. Okay. And let's take a look at a couple of parameters here. Let's say we want this to be 15 inches deep. Okay, let's just make sure that it works there. Yep, we're good. Lower rod height, let's do 3 feet. There we go, we're good there. Shelf height, let's do 7 foot there. There we go. So we're good on all the fronts there. Okay, so we're missing a couple things here. Okay, we're missing the ability to turn certain things on and off. And we're also missing the ability to label this. So let's go in and you can also, I think, do clips if you want to set up clips in Twitch. Alright. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to set up to where I can turn these on and off. Now that part is really easy, so let's just go through that real quick. I don't want to save this. Right, let's turn off show work plane. I don't need to see that. So with every object that you model, okay, you're going to have a parameter here that says visible, and you can give that a parameter. These little boxes to the right is basically, it's an associate family parameter box. So you click that and it asks you which parameter do you want to associate. You can pick one or you can make a new one. So we're going to do shelf on off. Notice that I started to do that and then decided not to. I'm actually just going to call this shelf on. I'm also not going to put spaces in, and I'll show you why in just a minute. We're going to make this an instance parameter so that each individual instance we can do something different. Turns checked equals shelf invisible. Unchecked equals shelf hidden. Okay. And we're going to make this under graphics. And hit OK. And there we go. And we're going to do that for upper rod as well. Upper rod on. Graphics, instance, checked equals upper rod on. Unchecked. Unchecked equals upper rod off. Oh my goodness. Okay. Upper rod on. And one more. New parameter. lower rod on graphics. Lower rod off, lower rod on. And the reason that I'm not making this a lower rod, I'm not calling it lower rod on off, is because it's an on off condition already, right? So I'm going to call this lower rod on, meaning that when it's checked, it's on. Is the lower rod on? Check. I mean, pretty simple. There we go. Now you can't really test this in the family editor. You only get just a little bit of taste of things that are hidden or not hidden. So when I uncheck this and apply, you see it goes gray. You can still see it, but it's grayed out, I guess you can call it. Alright, so if we load this into the project, right, we can now come in here and we can say shelf on, turn it off, upper rod on. Now note that the lower rod parameter was not there, and that is because I forgot to make it an instance parameter. See here, there you go. See how these say default next to it? That means that is an instance parameter, and the default is on. So lower rod on, we're going to edit that parameter and make it an instance parameter. Hit OK, load it back in. Lower rod on is unchecked. Okay, now the problem with that obviously is that I can't see it anymore to turn things on and off. Alright, so there's a couple more things to get it to where it was in the original. Let's look at a floor plan real quick, and we can see that this guy right here, okay, the original had a little dashed line to show the graphics there, so we want to give ours that same thing. And there's a couple ways that we can do that. I do want to check and see if I turn off shelf on off. Okay, you can see that line is still there, that graphic, and really the rod is there, so we don't need that graphic. So I'm going to do mine a little bit differently than what they do. So I'm going to go back to this family right here, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a model line. I'm going to put that model line on top of the shelf. Okay, so I'm going to set work plane to the top of the shelf. Then I'm going to create model line, and I'm going to just draw it right here. Okay, and you can see that this is set to the subcategory of casework projection. I'm actually going to make a new.
Introducing Firehouse Subs new $4.99 choice subs. Choose from medium smoked turkey, honey ham, roast beef. And remember, a part of
category for this to go under. Under casework, I'm going to make a new subcategory, and I'm going to call it, and it's going to be under casework. That's fine. I'm going to call this shelf.
Firehouse Subs will donate a minimum of $1 million.
Oh, you want to be descriptive about it, right? We actually want to call this rod centerline. Okay, and we're going to, let's just make it dashed. We can make it center, we can make it dash, whatever. You could define your own. It's going to be black, it's going to be just very thin. That's fine. I'm going to hit OK. And this is a projection line, it's not when it's cut. Okay, so this is going to show up whenever you're projecting. And I can already tell you right now that this is not going to work because it's above the cut plane. So I'm going to change something in just a second, but I do want to put this on rod centerline projection. Okay. So if I go back to the family here, or I go back to the project here. Okay, one of the things that I can't remember where I was going with this, but I wanted to come back here and show you something, but I can't think of it right now. So, a couple things. First of all, I want this to line up with the center of my rod shelving. So I'm going to lock that, and I'm also going to lock it the endpoints. So to my reference plane. So, and all I'm doing is I'm selecting the reference plane, then I'm tabbing through to grab that. So I'm going to load this in so that I can show you why I'm about to change this. So let's load this. I'll load that. Alright, we can see that that line is now across the top of there. And if I go to my floor plan, let's just see how that worked for us. It actually does show up. Okay, I wasn't expecting it to show up, but you know, that's the way Revit works. Okay. I do want to check something real quick. Let's see. What is the height? Shelf height. 7 feet. I don't know. I don't know why that works. Sometimes things work when you don't expect them to. Okay. So, right now, in a sense, this looks almost exactly like our shelf from before. I'm curious if I change this to 15 feet. Yeah, see, it doesn't move either. So, or 15 inches rather. Let's change this to 15 inches there. Oh, I've got it backwards. Why'd you let me do it backwards? Oh my goodness. There we go. Alright. There we go. So, let's add our annotation in. Well, I just check and see if I turn off shelf. We still have that. But I don't want the line to show up. So let's go fix that real quick. Alright, so all I have to do is assign the visibility of that model line to the shelf visibility. Alright, I'm going to load that back in. And now, when I turn the shelf off, I no longer have that line. And that's because it's a model line. I think you can do that with annotated lines too. So, but there you go. Let's get our annotation on. So, the annotation that they use, let's get back to the original family here. Okay, this is actually a family, it's an annotative family. And all it is, if I open this up, is it's just a label family. Okay? And what happens when you bring this into another family, when you nest an annotation into a family, you can see that you can update the label for that. And I'm trying to remember here. There we go. There should be a parameter here somewhere. Select parameters to add to the label. There we go. So we made it's a new label. I don't really want to get into detail on how this is made, but basically it's a label that is added to a label, and the parameter that's added, if I edit this, is just a text parameter. Okay, so annotation with a label, it's loaded back into this. Okay, and then in order to access that, I'm actually going to edit this, and then I'm going to load it into our project. Okay, so I can drop this label in here. Excuse me. And you can see now that the parameter label is available to be edited. Okay, or sorry, you can add a parameter to it, right? Or you can go into edit type, and you can basically type whatever you want into that. Okay. Now that's because of the way that this was set up. What I want to do is I want to make a text parameter. Yeah, I know, right? My office manager's daughters are here. They're having lunch. So, they're being pretty loud. If I want to make a parameter in our host family, I would just need to associate family parameter. And then we can call this annotation. Right, or label. We can call it label if we want to. Words on sheet. Whatever you want it to be. We're just gonna call it annotation for now, and we're gonna make it an instance parameter. Okay, and it's gonna be text. We're gonna hit OK. Annotation. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Okay. And now we can change this just by saying whatever the crap we feel about saying. Okay. One shelf, 2 rods. Right, now there's also ways to go about making sure that this stays centered, okay, and aligned certain ways within the family. For the most part, I do want this to stay centered. And I actually want to look and see, so yeah, you can see that they did go in and set that specifically to the center there. Right. They did do something that I should go ahead and do here. Okay, they gave their family a center line. So we have a left and we have a right. It would be good to be able to dimension to the center, so I'm going to add a reference plane and EQ it out. We're going to call this center, and we're going to make this the center left right. There we go. I'm actually going to be different. I'm going to make mine like 3 inches there. We'll lock that, and then we can align and lock the annotation to the center there. So there we go. Alright. So let's go ahead and drop that into the project. We now have that. Okay. Now, there's a couple things that we can have fun with. There's a lot of things you can have fun with on this. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of logic that says that if this shelf gets below 3 feet, that we automatically hide the lower shelf, the lower rod. Okay, so I'm going to add some logic to this. First of all, are there any questions about how we got to this point? Do you feel like you can recreate that? I mean, I felt like that was pretty straightforward. Definitely not. You don't think you can recreate that? Oh, come on. I bet you can. I bet you can. So I'm going to go a little bit above and beyond, and this is going to be the part that that you may or may not be able to follow, but I'm going to add some logic to this that basically hides the lower shelf anytime the height gets below 3 feet. So we have to think about how we want that to happen. If the height is less than 3 feet, then the lower shelf is turned off. Right? So I'm going to notepad this. Okay, if shelf height is less than 3 feet, then lower rod is hidden. Okay, so there's a couple things that we have to do. Okay, we have to force the visibility of lower rod to be on-off based on the height parameter. Okay, I'm also going to be putting this on the YouTube channel, so it will eventually be available there. I might actually turn this into something a little bit as well. I also have, if you go over to creativethings.com, not creative things, but creativethings.com, if you search for family creation, there's a 4-part series that I started on creating families, and you can give that a shot and see if that helps. But there are some in there. Yeah. But you can give it a shot, see if that helps. I will hopefully be expanding on that. Okay. So what I want to do is I need to come in here. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in here and a notepad. And I want to make the visibility of the lower rod. I'm going to say if shelf height. Oh, actually, I need a parameter that that is like an on-off switch, because I don't think it'll work this way, because I can only use yes/nos here. Because it's an on-off. It's an on-off parameter. So let me think through this. If shelf height less than 3. I don't think I can do that boolean. So I need a transitional parameter here. So let's make a new parameter. Nope. Let's make a new parameter. I'm going to make it an integer. And we're going to call this shelf switch. It's going to be under... What do I want this to be under? We're gonna put it under constraints, and it's going to be a type parameter. And we're going to say if shelf height less than 3, 0, 1. Okay, so right now it's 1 because shelf height is greater than 3. If we make shelf height 3 feet, can I do greater than equal to? Less than 3 foot, 0.1 inch. Okay, so now if it's at 3 feet, it's gone. I think you can do a less than equal to, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. By the way, if you ever want to know formula syntax, you go to revit.org and search for everyday formula. There's a Revit formulas for everyday usage post that has everything you need to know about formulas in Revit. Okay, so 3 feet it's 0. Oh man, how do I'm trying to remember. I always forget how to formalize. Well, let's use it. Exponential, yeah. Force checked equals 1. Okay, that's right. That's right. So basically, it's a true/false statement. Okay. So for shelf on, it is shelf dot switch equals 1. Okay. So now if we go 3 foot 1, that check mark comes on. Switch goes to 1. Okay. So if it was 3, then it goes to that. So make that 7. apply. If we make this 3, hit apply. I did it to the wrong one. Lower rod. Let's edit this. Lower rod switch. Lower rod switch. Apply. There we go. Okay. And we can also do. So we have an issue now, right? Where if our height is like 3'6", the lower rod does something weird there. Maybe I should make this like less than 4 feet.
Colonel Sanders here to announce that KFC's new crispy Colonel sandwich is now available at $5 fill-up. Why? Because who wants to spend $7 on a meal at a
Let's do less than 4'6".
Colonel sandwich, cheese, a cookie, and a drink at KFC? I mean, we specialize. You need another reason?
And then they're in the same spot. So if we do 4'8". So then we've got an issue where the user needs to fix something. Okay, so I'm going to load this in and see how that works.
There's nothing small about your business. Your passion.
Okay, so I'm going to change the height of this
It's all huge. Your partnerships even bigger. With Dell Small Business Technology Advisors, you'll get
to
advice and
5 foot.
help your business grow.
Apply.
Because with reliable Dell PCs,
4 foot.
Dell code processors,
Apply.
you can focus on what
Other
matters
shelf
most.
goes away.
Getting business done.
3 feet.
Call 877
Sorry, other rod goes away.
today. That's
And there we go.
877 by Dell.
There's a shelf and rod with logic. So hopefully that has been helpful. I'm going to run and grab some lunch because I'm kind of hungry. And I'll be back later this afternoon with a little bit more. But I think that was a pretty good morning session.
But you know, State Farm's got you too.
I think we can live with that. So anyway,
Go with the one that's here to
yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I am going to be trying to post more like tip videos. So if you go to my channel on YouTube, my channel. Come on now. View channel. Alright, I don't get a special URL because I don't have many people there, but I'm going to start making, I'm going to be going through my blog, and I'm going to be going back to the very beginning, and I'm going to be redoing all the older content. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, Revit or architecture related, I will be happy to make a video or a blog post about it. So anyway, thanks again for stopping by. Let's see. There's my YouTube channel. And yeah. Thanks again. I'll be back later this afternoon. Have a great afternoon. If I don't see you, have a great evening. I'll talk to you later.